Ladies and gentlemen, let's all please rise and welcome Her Excellency, our guest of honor, President ቸመልዕክት, President of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, as well as Her Excellency, Mayor of the City Administration of Addis Ababa, ወይዘሮ አዳነች አቤቤ. Let's please welcome them with a round of applause. Thank you all so much. We do appreciate your kind welcome. Let's please all sit. Thank you so much. Please be seated. Now that our guest of honor is here, let's begin. Good afternoon once again, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. Your Excellency, ወይዘሮ ቸመልዕክት, President of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, and our guest of honor, Excellencies, Presidents of Regional States of Ethiopia, Your Excellency, ወይዘሮ አዳነች አቤቤ, Mayor of the City Administration of Addis Ababa, Excellencies, Ministers, State Ministers, other high-level officials, African Union delegates, panelists, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. A very, very warm welcome to you all to the side event of the African Union Summit that will discuss digital transformation for economic growth. So let's all please welcome our guest of honor as well as all delegates on this beautiful day with a round of applause, please. Thank you so much. At the very outset, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome our brothers and sisters from other African nations present here this afternoon to their second home, Ethiopia, and even better, to this newly magnificent, inaugurated, exceptional Adwa Victory Museum that is standing very, very tall as a reminder of Ethiopia's unparalleled contribution to the freedom of Africans at the Battle of Adwa in 1896. Now, ladies and gentlemen, please allow me just a few words to set the scene before I invite our guest of honor for the opening remarks. As you very well know, ladies and gentlemen, Africa has the world's youngest and fastest growing population, and it's expected to nearly double to 2.5 billion by 2050. On top of that, Africa is the world's largest trading bloc of 1.4 billion, made possible through the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. This is a significant asset for innovation and digital solutions that have immense potential of transforming economics in Africa and beyond. The comprehensive digital transformation strategy for Africa envisioned for 2020-2030 by the African Union is one roadmap and a step to the right direction towards achieving Agenda 2063, that is a prosperous Africa. The continent's ambitious digital transformation strategy envisions an integrated and inclusive digital society. In line with this, we have experts and thought leaders here with us this afternoon to discuss the role of technology leapfrogging Africa's growth and to share their views and expertise with us this afternoon around digital transformation, financial inclusion, artificial intelligence, required talent for the transformation, as well as to create enabling environment. Ladies and gentlemen, Madam President, welcome once again, and with this as a brief introduction, I will now take an exceptional honor and privilege to invite to the podium our guest of honor, Her Excellency ወይዘሮ ቸመልዕክት, President of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, for her opening remarks. Please welcome Madam President to the podium. Thank you.
Your Excellencies, Presidents of regional states, ministers, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to warmly welcome our guests and speakers from various sectors. Your presence here today reflects our shared priority to advance the continental digital agenda. The rapid evolution of the technological landscape around the world is reshaping geopolitics, economies, societies, and cultures, and providing Africa unprecedented opportunities to leapfrog and innovate. By embracing digital transformation, Africa can unlock huge economic growth through increased productivity, innovation, and job creation. It can empower citizens with participations in public life and information access, while simultaneously improving service delivery in healthcare, education, as well as finance. Moreover, this digital advancement can tackle climate change, reduce poverty, and ensure sustainable resource management, paving the way for a brighter and more inclusive future for all. A strategic approach is crucial for Africa's digital transformation because unplanned progress could widen existing inequalities, leaving vulnerable communities behind. In alignment with Africa's digital transformation agenda 2020-2030, Ethiopia developed a comprehensive national digital 2025 strategy which outlines goals, priorities, and action plans for all sectors to seize the opportunity presented by digital transformation to build inclusive digital economies. In Ethiopia, we are encouraged by the results our digital strategy enabled by the rapid growth of our telecom infrastructure, internet penetration, digital financial services, and the adoption of future technologies such as artificial intelligence. Ethiopia's dedication to leveraging emerging technologies like AI is proven by the establishment of the Ethiopian Artificial Intelligence Institute. Founded by Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, the Institute envisions to be one of the leading AI research and development centers by 2030 and play a key role in creating innovative AI-enabled solutions to drive the nation's adoption for this transformative technology. While digital innovations will continue to positively impact every sector, it also transforms how we interact with one another and with society more broadly. The amount of data we produce will grow exponentially. It will change the profile of jobs, and it will raise important issues around privacy, security, and skills, among others. We need to be forward-looking, boost the growth of innovative ecosystems, and seize the opportunities technology can bring to us. Let me point out three major imperatives. First, while we have done rapid progress in mobile broadband penetration, our continent lags the rest of the world in connectivity and digital infrastructure, thus encouraging policies that will drive investment and boost connectivity is of utmost importance. Second, we need to strengthen trust in an age of increasing connectivity and data-intensive activities by knowing how we capture, store, protect our data and our digital consumers, allowing individuals, firms, and government entities to feel safe and unleash the benefits of going digital. Third, we need to address structural changes in the labor market brought about by digitalization and equip all workers with the right skills to succeed. Our children must be equipped with the basic skills needed to function in technology-rich environment. This not only means ICT skills, but also skills such as critical thinking, adaptability, and flexibility, as most of our children will do jobs that haven't been invented yet. Ladies and gentlemen, to take advantage of this opportunity that the digital transformation presents, we must cooperate and create synergetic relationships on a regional and continental level between our countries, as well as between our inventors, investors, and entrepreneurs. To conclude, I extend a call to action for all stakeholders to come together and make progress on the continental digital transformation agenda. I thank you very much for your kind attention.
so much, Madam President, for honoring us by your presence as well as by delivering your opening remarks. Thank you so much. It's always a great pleasure to be in your presence. Thank you. You may be seated, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Now we're going to get to the panel discussion. We're kind of racing against time because most of the delegates need to return to another session at the African Union. So we're going to get to a quick panel session, which I will begin by introducing the moderator, and then I will call upon the panelists one at a time. Our moderator is Zacharias Amsalu. He is the managing director and co-founder of Africa FinTech Summit, and he is, briefly, just to introduce him, he is one of the most influential persons of African descent, MEPAD, under 40 in business, and 2023's top 35 tech titans for Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Zacharias to the podium. Sorry, to the stage. Zacharias, if you could sit on the far left, that would be wonderful. I'm sure you can see your name. And then I will call upon the panelists, and the moderator will take over and introduce each one of them. First in this line will be Professor Lonje Senye. Please welcome him to the stage. And our next panelist is Ms. Freo Tamuru, CEO of Ethio Telecom. And up next we have Mr. Dare Okuju, founder and CEO of One Africa. Please welcome him. And finally, of course, Solomon Kasa. No need to introduce him, but the moderator will do his work. Thank you so much. Over to you, Mr. Moderator.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, Madam President, and our honorable heads of ministers, state ministers, AU delegates, and invited guests, it's an honor to moderate this panel. We have distinguished panelists here so that you have a flavor of who is speaking and the topic. I would like to briefly introduce who is in this panel. So next to me we have Professor Landry Saine. He is originally from Cameroon and based in DC. He is a distinguished fellow at Stanford University, a senior fellow at the Brookings Institution, and he is also the co-chair of the World Economic Forum Regional Action Group for Africa. He's a co-chair of the World Economic Forum Friends of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, and co-founder and executive director of the Fourth Industrial Revolution Global Initiative. Professor Saine is recognized as one of the World Economic Forum's top 50 foremost future-oriented thought leaders in the world, one of the Political's 100 most influential academics in government, one of the World Economic Forum young global leaders for finding innovative solutions to some of the world's most pressing problems. He has consulted heads of states, head of global institution, and the US Congress on US and Africa business relationship. Thank you for joining us, Professor. And we have Ms. Freo Tamuru. She's the CEO of Ethio Telecom, a 129 years young giant, Africa's pioneer in telecom, operator and the second largest in Africa with 74 million users. Currently, Ethio Telecom is delivering both telecommunication and digital financial services. In addition to her role as the CEO of Ethio Telecom, Freo sits on the board of GSMA as well. And then we have Dare Okuju. He is the founder and CEO of One Africa, formerly known as MFS. It's a company that is named by the International Business Magazine Fast Company as one of Africa's top 10 most innovative companies. One Africa operates the most extensive digital payments in Africa with connected 500 million mobile wallets and over 200 million bank accounts across 40 African countries. The company is also leading prepaid card processor, working with over 80 banks and managing multiple programs in more than 30 African countries. And One Africa has brought the US technological company GTP and expanded to the US, showcasing that we are in an era of what we call the Africanization of global tech. Thanks for joining us, Dare. And finally, we have Mr. Solomon Kasa. He's a senior advisor to the Ethiopian AI Institute, the TV personality and author. He's also a producer and host of the popular Tech Talk with Solomon on EBS with more than 30 million viewers. And in 2020, he founded 1888 EC, the first tech venture studio to be established here in Addis. Solomon has over 60 years of international professional experience, including management consulting with Deloitte. So to get started, I would like to pose the first question to you, Freyot. So what is your view and experience on digitization as an engine to economic growth in the continent?
Thank you, Zacharias. Good afternoon, everyone. It's really an exciting moment. As you know, African digital landscape is experiencing a rapid growth with the advancement of mobile technology and mainly tech-savvy young population, which is very critical to be innovative and adapt new solutions. To build a more inclusive, prosperous, peaceful, and mainly, honestly speaking, as we are moving forward to a sustainable future, inclusion is very important. And it's time to leverage the transformative power of mobile technology to ensure the inclusion of finance, education, health, and most importantly, for accessibility and inclusion of financial service. Today, as we discuss about digital transformation of Africa, AU have established very well a strategy that is going to be executed by African countries to ensure sustainable development for all sectors. I would like to maybe mention today we have around 1.4 billion mobile users in our continent, and in 2030 it's expected to reach 1.7. Meaning there are a lot of areas that we need to work hard, mainly to increase the mobile number usage, internet access, smartphone penetration, and also reliable telco and digital infrastructure, especially to build the Africa that we want and deserve, more inclusive. It's important to leverage the mobile technology and other digital technology that it can offer to unlock Africa's untapped natural resource, create wealth, and also employment opportunities overall for the overall transformation of our continent. But this requires significant investment, collaboration, coordination, and also commitment of our governments, stakeholders in the ecosystem, and particularly the regulation aspect and policy need to be amended to help the massive deployment of the infrastructure that we need. Also, further to unlock the potential that technology can offer, it's very important to the government and other stakeholders in the ecosystem to be involved and invest so as to bridge the digital divide and also facilitate the development of digital economy and bridge the gap. When we talk about bridging digital divide, we're not talking about only internet access, but also access to education, access to health, and many more digital services. But without making investment, it's going to be very hard for us to accomplish the major milestones that we have established as a continent for Africa digital strategy, which is going to be realized during this period. Mainly to mention major factors, or what we call them enablers. There are a lot of areas that we need to work, but the number of mobile users, internet access, smartphone adoption is critical in the foundation for the success of Africa's digital transformation. With this, we expect the smartphone penetration to reach during this period, the strategy period, from 54% to 80% penetration, and also internet to reach 46%. Still, it remains, especially internet and broadband, low compared to a global penetration rate. So that's why we need to make significant investment to address the gap, but also to unlock further the potential in the digital technology. We Africans might have missed out the industrial revolution, as you know, Zacharias and the rest of the audience here, but we can't afford to miss the digital age, I believe. So it's not a luxury, but it's a matter of survival. So the way I see it, if we work together and make investment, work towards the digital transformation of Africa, we can further unlock the advantage digital technology can offer so as to unlock Africa's untapped natural resource with all their collaboration and investment and involvement of government. That's what I can see, but the strategic approach is very important. In this regard, Ethiopia has also launched Digital Ethiopia Strategy 2025, which is aligned with the Africa overall digital transformation. So mainly it is aiming to transform all sectors to unlock the potential of mobile technology and to advance the productivity, efficiency, and also create new job opportunities for millions, and also is helping the drivers of economies, others exist with the help of technology.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for your... I'm going to come to you, Professor Sainer. Her Excellency mentioned in her keynote speech that the assignment, the call to action to the continent is making sure that the youth have jobs that are yet to be innovated. So it talks about capital, human capital. So how can we foster a diverse and skilled local human capital, and in particular with artificial intelligence? How can we make sure that the youth in Africa are well equipped for the future jobs? How can we make sure that they are future-proof ready? And for that, I want to quote your interview you just had 2 weeks ago as you were heading to Davos. And you mentioned about you need to be more intentional in terms of AI development, and you spoke about trust. And that trust is related to mainly not having multiracial and multicultural coders within the continent who can design and implement of the AI algorithm. So can you reflect on that and tell us how can Africa ensure that the youth are ready for the fourth industrial revolution and also the jobs that are yet to be innovated?
Thank you so much for the question and for having me. And I would also like to express my gratitude. I'm very happy to be here, Excellencies, and it's an incredibly beautiful city and country. And Excellency, Madam President, I was told that you like French. So, bonsoir et mes respects, Excellence, Madame la Présidente. So this is an extremely important topic for me. My most recent book is exactly on the question, Africa's fourth industrial revolution. And in the book, I explain how Africa and with the fourth industrial revolution, with digital transformation, Africa can really become a global powerhouse, and for many reasons. First, when you speak about the potential, we speak about economic growth and structural transformation. Job created here, when I last checked, more than 1.7 million jobs, more than $140 billion to the economy. Export in what we call at the Brookings Institution industries without smokestacks have grown 6 times faster than export in traditional manufacturing. So it is really an opportunity that African country can seize to lead the way. And that is one of the arguments that I make in the book. Also, in terms of poverty reduction, M-Pesa alone in one of the countries have contributed to reduce household poverty by 2%. We speak about the financial services. My colleague will be speaking about that later. Healthcare and labor skills, among others. We have a substantial increase due to digital transformation of the young people able to access education. Now, having said that, what is key in terms of empowering those young people? When we speak about building skills, typically people will think about tertiary education, higher education. Yes, higher education is extremely important, but to really continue to lead the way, it's important to invest in primary and secondary education to build critical thinking, digital skills, STEM skills, among others. Because this is how those type of skills which will be needed to lead in economic development. Now, turning to what I said about artificial intelligence, and I came across with the World, not just at Davos, but also with the World Economic Forum AI, Artificial Intelligence Summit. So there's a convergence in the conversations that the fourth industrial revolution, AI, reflect the one framing it. So to what extent can we ensure diversity, can we ensure inclusion, and can we frame strategy, be intentional about developing strategies which will help to leverage the opportunity? When you mention AI, a lot of people are scared, especially when you mention AI about developing economies, about Africa. People will mostly think about mistrust, bad practices, loss of sovereignty, but instead of seeing artificial intelligence only as a threat, we have to shift the conversation and look at the opportunities. More intelligence is better than less. So I think that is something that we have to really work. And I finish this point by mentioning the imperative of agile governance. With the incredible speed that we see between the technological innovation and governance, so it's important to bridge the gap so that innovation will be enabled while governed in order to serve the greater good. And I think that Ethiopia is definitively one of those countries which has a phenomenal potential and has achieved a lot. So I'm always happy to be here, and thank you very much again.
Thank you very much, Professor. And piggybacking on that, Solomon, you're representing the Ethiopian AI Institute. You're a senior advisor there. Can you tell us initiatives like the Ethiopian AI Institutes help Africa to position Africa in areas of AI and also future emerging technologies?
Thank you so much, Zacharias. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Before I address that, I want to piggyback a little bit on Ms. Frewitt's great perspective.
Yes, please.
I want to add a little bit of a global perspective to it. There's this concept called technological determinism. It implies that technology profoundly shapes society. And that is very important for our conversation within the context of Africa, because what we really see today is, as the professor also mentioned, is an inequality and digital divide. So it demands us to be very, 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 very intentional to strive for an inclusive tech development for a collective human welfare. So because, as we keep saying, that we are at the heart of the fourth industrial revolution, where digital, virtual, physical, biological, realm is converged with technologies like AI, robotics, big data, IoT, and metaverse. So with that, this new era holds for Africa a great potential to actually leapfrog instead of doing the traditional developmental stage, so that we can tap into the latest technologies to make sure that innovation happens quick and agile, in an agile fashion. But the reality is different today, because AI, while AI can revolutionize healthcare, for example, or our farmers, coffee farmers, through blockchain for traceability, what the world is showing is different. According to a recent McKinsey report, there is a grave danger that this benefit from technology is not evenly distributed. So it has to be addressed, and we Africans are the primary victims. Actually, numbers won't lie, so the estimate is that AI alone can inject about $12.5 trillion of economic output by 2030, which is about 1.2% of global GDP annually. But what part of that is for Africa is very concerning. So the potential for further deepening of socioeconomic inequality reminds us that we have to be aggressive And tech alone is not a panacea. Tech alone is not the solution. So we have to harness innovation deliberately and with a clear strategy that what is needed for Africa and for what is needed for Africa's context and for Africa's need is extremely important. So with that, I'll go back to the AI aspect of it. Reflecting on my personal experience of a privilege interviewing the Prime Minister about 3 years ago, after the interview, it was very, very clear to me that even then, Ethiopia was on the cusp of digital revolution, because he outlined his vision not only for Ethiopia, but for Africa's tech renaissance, emphasizing the need for a digital-driven economic transformation for the whole of Africa. That's what he said. So the swift establishment of our institution, the Ethiopian Artificial Intelligence Institution, alongside the PM's sweeping digital reforms like telecom liberalization, national digital ID, mobile money, which Ms. Period is killing it now, the capital market, and more is a testament to our deterministic decision and mindset towards that goal. So to give clarity, by the way, Ethiopian Artificial Intelligence is not an educational institution. It's a policy and research and development institution doing actual work, which I'm going to highlight a little bit in a bit. So this institute is very young, extremely young, but with this short journey, what they were able to do is nothing short of amazing. Tapping into the potential of emerging tech, not only we are doing something for us, but for Africa and the global community at large, that what it means to use digital equity to solve the society's grand challenges into our serious issues like healthcare, education, e-governance, and more. But what's more amazing to me is what the institution did in terms of language. We were able to develop a natural language processing with our 4 local languages, Amharic, Afan Oromo, Tigrinya, and Somalinya, which is like, I think, first of its kind for Africa, I would say, so that computers can understand our context, our needs, so which is extremely important. So the fact that we're able to develop a natural language, an African language model for computers to understand our languages is absolutely a game changer.
Thank you very much.
It has to be understood that way. So the initiative by the PM reflects Ethiopia's tradition of adopting innovation, echoing an early embrace of electricity, telecom, and trains during the Battle of Adwa while maintaining our sovereignty. So we have to keep going with that urge and determination. Thank you.
Thank you very much appreciated. Vision 2063 speaks about prosperous Africa. Prosperous Africa is self-trading, where borders shouldn't matter, at least digitally. Daria, I'm coming to you with this question. You have a mobile money and fintech solution in 40 Africa countries. I'm sure you've seen so many barriers and challenges, and you've surpassed most of them. But even with the Continental Free Trade Agreement, we still have some barriers when it comes to financial inclusion and payment across Africa. Can you tell us what barriers exist and your suggestion when it comes to providing financial inclusion and payment rail within the continent, while we have still many countries that are developing and implementing the Continental Free Agreement?
Thank you very much. I think maybe let's start with why technology and why cross-border. I think we have to remind ourselves that in Africa, the technology is only useful if it moves people toward prosperity. And how do we get prosperity? We know this is going to come for small and medium businesses across the continent. And what small and medium businesses look like across the continent is changing. Today, small and medium business can be someone on TikTok as an influencer. Small and medium businesses can be freelancers here in Addis working for some technology companies abroad. And what we also have to keep in mind is our continent has really small markets. If in Ethiopia you come up with a great software to better manage human resources, technology allows you today to be accessible in Liberia, in Benin, in South Africa, in Madagascar. If you come up with a great idea to manage restaurant software Again, technology allows you to be present in Nigeria, in Burkina Faso, and so on and so forth. But technology is not enough yet for you to get paid. And until you get paid, we are not moving towards prosperity. So that's why cross-border is so important. And our company, over the last 14 years, we have built a digital infrastructure to facilitate cross-border payment, mostly useful for small and medium businesses to pay and be paid across the continent. You mentioned we are present in 40 countries, so we've seen different flavors of, adoption or facilitation of this. And what is standing on our way, I always use the comparison with telecommunication. And the number one things that stand on our way is we are not fully replicating the ease that telecommunication gives us. And since Her Excellency is here, I'm going to start with Ethiopia. So Ethiopia makes it relatively easy to move money into Ethiopia, so to pay businesses in Ethiopia. But Ethiopia makes it extremely difficult for Ethiopian businesses to pay someone in Kenya. It's like when we had telecom, as if we have decided that you can only call Ethiopian, but Ethiopian cannot make call out. That's the equivalent in the and imagine all the potential that we have lost. So the very first, Ethiopia is not the only one in this case. We have many countries that when cross-border payment regulation is being put in place, the focus is a lot on either remittances that are coming from the broader north into the country, or large corporation that needs to move money. Not enough on small businesses that needs to be paid, but also needs to pay. And most of the time, we trade with our neighbors. So these countries that I'm talking about tend to be in Africa as well. The second piece of regulation that could make this much easier for us to advance is what I call passporting. Now, it takes a good amount of time and energy to get some sort of financial service license in every African country today. And the regulation has grown and progressed to, I would say, global benchmark. So if you get a license in Kenya, if you get a license in South Africa or in Ethiopia, you are complying to global benchmark when you get that. Why do I have to repeat the same thing when I move next door? When do I have to start from scratch if I already have license here in Ethiopia, if I move to Kenya, or if I move to Burundi or Rwanda going down? So I think if we can look at it and do two things, passporting, make it easier for a telebill to move across the continent. Because they are already held to high standard here in Ethiopia, why do they need to start from scratch if they go to the next country? If we can do that, and if we can rethink the cross-border payment and really make it as easy to move money in than to move it out for the sake of small and medium businesses, I think we will make a good progress.
Thank you very much, Larry. Very much appreciated. We can talk about digital transformation for the whole day, but we have to be respectful of time because there's further meetings at the AU Summit. So I'm going to ask each panelist, taking 1 minute, to provide policy recommendation when it comes to digital transformation. We have regulators and government officials. So I would like to ask you, what policy recommendation do you recommend to leapfrog Africa digitally? You can take angles from artificial intelligence, from mobile money, and on top of mobile money, we have several other rails, health delivery, agriculture. So what policy recommendation do you have when it comes to digital transformation, having the 2063 agenda in mind, a prosperous, self-trading, and digitally inclusive Africa? Professor, let me start with you.
Thank you so much. I will discuss about the framework that I developed, the 4IR readiness framework, where I identify 7 key dimensions, capitals. So the first one is to develop human capitals. So it's extremely important, as mentioned earlier, to have capability, capacity, research and development. University will play a key role there. Another one is the financial capital. It's important to have the financial resources and to massively invest, to be intentional about where the investment are going. It's also physical capital related to infrastructure, physical infrastructure, digital infrastructure, extremely important as well. There is the perception capital, because The fourth industrial revolution, digitalization, is evolving simultaneously with other factors, so it's important for people to be ready to adopt technology. I mentioned there's a lot of resistance, even when you speak about AI, where the future of I published an article recently, and the title was "The Future of the World is Intelligent." So, and there's another capital, the enabling environment capital, also extremely important to create a conducive environment to attract private sector in the area. Another capital also is the agility capital. I mentioned the critical importance of agile governance. It's important to create a condition which will really facilitate not just innovation, but also especially make sure that those innovations leave no one behind. And finally, there's the innovation, what I like to call the innovation and the technology capital, because now many of the African countries are mostly adapting already existing innovation. So it's important to build the capacity to really innovate domestically. Of course, as you know, I discussed this extensively in my book, so I will stop there because I can't speak for this for hours and if not days. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor. Freud, over to you.
Thank you, Zacharias. Though technology is at the center of digital transformation, technology alone is not enough to transform our continent. So there are critical aspects or pillars that we need to consider for the success of Africa's digital transformation, mainly the people aspect, apart from, the technology, and the policy. People aspect, as the professor mentioned earlier, the skill that requires, the digital age requires digital skill and also leadership, not only the workforce. Usually we assume that talent and skill is required for the expertise. No. The leadership aspect also is critical in the digital transformation journey of Africa. It's a journey, so we need to build the people aspect as part of the policy, the synergy between technology or platform and also policy matters for the success. And policy, usually we assume technology is the obstacle for the success. I would say no. Usually the people and the policy aspect is creating a problem or hindrance. So we need to revisit our policies and regulation, and also stipulate new ones that are suitable for the digital age, attractive, flexible, that can encourage new ideas, innovators, investors, and that can adequately support the ecosystem. It's very important. So that's one that I'd like to mention or recommend. Apart from that, earlier, Mr. Dari, he was mentioning about trade. As you all know, Africa holds the largest global mobile market, both in terms of registered accounts and also transaction volume. Today we have around 781 million registered mobile money account. It's more than, I think, compared to the global 1.6, it's huge. So we need to leverage this mobile money user base to promote trade integration. That's very important. When we talk about digital strategy, it's not limited to the national strategy, but also as AU, also driving the digital transformation of Africa. So we need to promote the trade integration using the mobile money account, which is really a huge capacity and enabling factor for the trade integration. Apart from that, as you said, we can also build Africa's digital economy using the mobile money user base that we have today. And as I said earlier, the outlook of Africa's digital transformation is very promising. With the forecast, as I said earlier, 5G in 2030 will have 20% coverage, and 4G with 45% coverage, and the smartphone adoption with so many other business model and also manufacturing in Africa will promote internet penetration. But that really requires flexible policies, enabling environment, and also integration among the countries, not only a specific ecosystem. Usually when we talk about transformation, we're referring to telcos, software technology companies. It's not limited to that. all the technology is impacting the society and every aspect of our economy. So when we develop these strategies and policies, it affects all domain of the policy and the regulation. So it really requires coordination and also our efforts, and apart from the investment, it really requires. So in the digital age, everyone deserves to have access to finance, because usually poverty is a result of marginalization. So that's why I've been saying earlier, we need to really leverage the power of mobile technology to serve the unserved, to reach those who are in the rural area who are not able to get many services with the traditional way of delivering, like financial service. The financial service today, I think the promising part of the digital transformation for Africa, particularly the mobile money, is achieving a great result in terms of enhancing people's life, lifting millions out of poverty, and also empowering business. But this needs to be really supported by policy, regulation, flexible, because the digital age, it requires much of our flexibility, openness, integration, collaboration among stakeholders in the ecosystem. And the government participation is critical, and non-governmental organizations as well, their involvement, not only in the creating a new way of doing business, but also investing in the infrastructure that we need to realize the aim. And at the end of the day, what we want is more inclusive, prosperous, peaceful, and sustainable Africa that we deserve and we want. So for that, all our efforts and commitment is required. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Private. Dari, if you can touch that policy recommendation briefly, please.
Yeah. So I want to finish maybe with a wish or a challenge, depending on how you look at it. So earlier this week, we welcomed Telebi and 40 million customers onto our network. So now we 540 million mobile wallet connected across the continent. And my wish and the challenge to the two of us is when we meet next time, say a year from now, it should be possible for every one of Telebi customers, whether they are individuals or businesses, to be paid from anywhere in Africa and to pay anywhere in Africa. And I think we'll have made progress. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Darren. And Solomon, as you touch the recommendation, I also want you briefly touch about the skills parts, because we're talking about the world's youngest continent and the youth being ready for the fourth industrial revolution. So what policy recommendation do you provide? A, making sure that the youth are ready for the future jobs, and what policy recommendation do we need now to get them ready for the future?
Thank you so much. Just 2 days ago, OpenAI, the owner and the founder of ChatGPT, announced another scary platform called Sora. It's text-to-video generative AI solution that can create up to 1 minute of high-fidelity video just by a simple text prompt. That's scary. You can go and check it, and there's a lot of news about that. Something that would take humans days, hours, right? So African youth now find themselves not competing with human intelligence only, but also with AI capabilities. So quick policy recommendation, and I'll touch upon the youth if I have time. So number one, embracing pragmatic and futuristic leadership. So it's crucial for Africa's digital transformation, so that is important for us to do, and we can take a lesson from UAE, becoming the first country in the world to have Ministry of AI. So we have to have that kind of bold move to tackle this season. So second, having a policy of creative destruction-proof kind of policy. It's a phenomena where all technologies are replaced by new ones. So Africa's policy should be pragmatic. We cannot operate in 2024 with policies that we crafted in the 70s, 80s, 90s, even early 2000s. So we have to be very, very intentional about that. Third one is that we have to be chooser beggars. Africa continuously gets aid, but we have to choose impact over aid. So that's very, very important. Another one is having a globalization-proof policy. A simple physics says that in a dense environment, you have to be strong enough. So not to be overwhelmed and ultimately be crushed by globalization, we have to have that pragmatic and strong policy. Last one, I have a big heart for the youth, so we have to have a fail-safe environment for the youth and startups. You know, the glittery story about Silicon Valley's multi-trillion-dollar success story, behind it is a lot of failed startups, a lot of multi-billion-dollar burnings. So we have to have this policy and environment where we allow our youth to fail, to crumble, to burn resources without worrying about what's the consequence of doing that. So failure should be a pathway to success and creating a lot of African unicorns. So I think I don't have time. I was going to mention something else, but regarding the youth and job creation, one more thing and I will stop. Me and my colleagues were talking about how can we create a job for this scary situation of, you know, mass youth and not enough job in Africa? So we have to position ourselves, you know, as a preferred BPO destination. And we did a simple math. If we create 20,000 jobs with $4,000 a month, even for Ethiopian case, we can literally generate a forex of about $1 billion. That's equivalent to our coffee export. So think about that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before we conclude, Freyot, if you can give a little bit of recommendation, 1 minute.
Thank you. Maybe what I would like to mention, apart from what I said earlier, because I was saying that the outlook of Africa's digital transformation is very positive and promising, given our commitment and, of course, investment that really requires. But I would like to mention, recently, Ethiopia has made a significant progress in terms of, in the area of utilizing mobile platform, as you all are aware. And in less than 1 year, we are able to provide financial service for more than 4 million users, which is not possible with the traditional financial service or conventional banking service. That's why we are saying today, this is the time to leverage the potential in the digital technology. Much need to be done. It's promising, but much need to be done to further harness the potential in the digital the technology, especially considering more than half of the population in Africa have no access to the formal financial service. So that's why we need to further leverage the mobile technology to address the unserved population, and also to provide more than financial service like education, healthcare, and other digital services, public service, which can be easier through the mobile technology. So the expansion of mobile technology, telco, AI, and other digital technology is not for fantasy, but to solve our current problems, and also to unlock, as I said earlier, Africans' untapped natural resource to create more job opportunity for our peoples and make our continent much, much better, and that we can be really proud of, and that Africa, that others also would like to be there. Not only for us. So it's really time to work together and further to unlock the technology capacity with the investment it requires, and the adjustment in the policies, the regulation, and attracting also, encouraging entrepreneurs, investors, innovators in the sector as well. And building the skill is very important. It really requires a digital skill, the digital age. And also leadership capacity and flexibility is very important. That's what I can add more.
Thank you very much, Freyot. It's very much appreciated, and the call to action is very clear. The Africa we want, as espoused on the 2063 vision, is clear: prosperous, self-trading, and digitally inclusive Africa. That requires collaborations between governments, regulators, innovators, tech startups, financial institutions, as well as educational institutions. In line with the theme of this year's African Union Summit, education and preparing the youth, as Her Excellency the President mentioned, for the future jobs that are yet to be innovated. With that, we'll leave you with that call to action, doing everything we can to ensure that Africa is not missing the fourth industrial revolution, but leapfrogging digitally. Thank you very much, and please join me to thank our able and distinguished panelists, Professor Sine, and have a safe flight back to DC tonight. And Freyot, thank you very much for your insights. Dare, thank you so much for your insights, and have a safe flight back to Johannesburg tomorrow. Solomon, thanks for your insight as well. And enjoy your day and the rest of the meetings you'll be participating throughout the week. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Zacharias, and I think he deserves a round of applause for being on top of this. And while you are on stage, I'm going to kindly ask for Madam President to join them for a picture, because these people, yes, Madam, they badly want to have that picture with our guest of honor. And then in a moment, the ministers, the presidents of regional states, I think I see only one, His Excellency, President of Somali region, and then the ministers. And if we have any ministers from other African countries, you will be kindly requested to join this picture. So Madam President, let's start with you first. Now let's take that photo together, and then I will kindly ask for the ministers, and then His Excellency, the President of the Somali region, to join them in a moment. I'm sorry for keeping you standing. It's, I think, for respect for our President, and I think everybody agrees. Thank you so much. Now, please, ministers, Madam Mayor, and Mr. President, please join them for the picture. Madam President, can I please kindly ask you to remain on stage for one more picture? Thank you so much. And if there are any ministers or state ministers or very high-level delegates from other African countries, please join us in this picture. Yeah, so representatives of the Prime Minister's office as well. Once we take this picture, this will conclude our event.